Cups up, Mandy.
Cups up. How's it going?
Better here than where you are. How was the hearing today?
It was frustrating and exhausting. I'm trying to get into a better mood, even though 40 years is good in the grand scheme of things and good when it comes to minimum and maximum for the crimes that he committed. I just feel disappointed after going to that federal courthouse so many times and each time leaving thinking, okay, this isn't redundant because this is going to lead to other people besides Alec, Corey, and Russell being charged. And now here we are years later, and Alec is the final one to get charged in federal court, and they don't appear to be any closer on finding where the money is. When Judge Gergel said something today, and this is, again, I'm going to have to go back for this week's True Sunlight, and hopefully there will be some filings that I can double check what exactly was said about restitution, but he said a few things like this fine is waived because the defendant cannot pay it. I was just sitting there thinking, as long as Dick, Jim, and Phil Barber are representing this man, and as long as there's a whole team of lawyers behind him, I don't understand how the federal government can also accept that he has all these lawyers who are clearly extremely expensive, yet Alex doesn't have any money to pay the government or his victims or anybody else.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating because I think we were talking about this with Russell's case and how he didn't get fined either. And the idea was let's let his money go toward the victims. And again, we know who the victims are in Russell's case, which is PMPED and PSV. But Randolph Murdaugh set up an irrevocable trust for his children. And this is money that you sort of wonder, like, where did they get all this money? Because he wasn't practicing in private practice, and he was a prosecutor for most of his career. And so was Buster, and so was the first Randolph Murdaugh. So how is it that these millions and millions of dollars can be left to the Murdaugh kids? So the irrevocable trust makes it so that I believe there's no way to get at that money civilly. So if you were to sue Alec, that money just simply doesn't count. You can't get at it. But he can certainly use that money to pay his attorneys. It seems to me that if you get caught committing a crime, especially to the degree that Alec has been caught, there should be a way at that money. That money shouldn't be left in nerve to be able to purchase your way out of the problem, which is exactly what it is for, I guess.
And on that note, we will be right back with Brandi Churchwell.
Good morning. Good morning.
Brandi, you are busy in the Karen Reed case. How's that going?
There are two very distinct sides, and any of the reporting that you get is going to be either reporting from the Commonwealth's perspective or from the defense perspective, and there was nothing that I could find that was really in the middle. So, which is kind of why I wanted to start looking at it. But it's John O'Keefe was a Boston police officer for about 16 years, and he, in January of 2022, he was left to die in the cold. The Commonwealth says that Karen Reed, who was his girlfriend at the time, left. They had all been out, drinking, bar hopping, and the Commonwealth says that she was, in a fit of rage and hit him with her car and then left him to die. The defense has a third-party culpability defense where they're saying that it was not her, it was the people who are in the house, and they're, this family is covering for each other. So it's very, there's a lot of contention on both sides because it's two very different stories. And the problem is there's so many problems with both theories that it's kind of hard to know what to believe. But I think that one of the biggest problems with this entire case is that there are so many issues with the investigation, and there's so many conflicting statements, and none of the there's a lot of things that don't make sense. Like none of the interviews were recorded. A lot of the interviews, they haven't provided any notes or anything that were taken on them. And some of them, they interviewed the witness, and then, 3 weeks later, they would write a report like, well, this is what they said, and turn it in. But then the stories keep changing on those.
Right.
So that obviously is the first thing that kind of, triggers that distrust. Like if there's so many issues,
right.
What could be behind it?
Right. And that only works in the defendant. Like whenever there's a bad investigation, it usually works in the defendant's favor. And I mean, we've seen that over and over, and it is really frustrating when you like get into the nitty gritty of these true crime cases.